Good morning, everyone. My name is Krish Galley, and I lead the product team that builds groups experiences inside Outlook. And with me, I have.
Good morning. My name is Madhuri Tandepu. I'm a program manager at Groups in Outlook.
Thank you all so much for attending our session today, and I hope you're having a great conference so far. Before we get started, I wanted to say three things. Number one, this is a repeat session of the one that we delivered on Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. So if you attended that and you're still here, then you're a super fan of groups. So please see me after the session. I want to take a selfie with you. Two, this is a 200-level session. So while I like to get into the technical details and architecture behind how groups work, we will not be covering that in our session today. This is all about how do you empower your users to achieve more inside Outlook. And finally, we have a packed agenda. So I know many of you might have questions. Madhuri and I will stay back after the session to take all your questions, and we also have a booth that will be open all day long, so we'll be excited to see you there as well. Okay, with that said, let's get started. The key goals that we have for the session today is threefold. Firstly, we will provide an overview of the Microsoft 365 toolkit for teamwork, and how we think about it. But make no mistake, guiding people on which tool to use when starts with understanding the user requirements for what your users are trying to accomplish first. We'll spend the vast majority of our time today talking about teamwork in Outlook. We'll show you a lot of demos, as well as talk about the benefits that our customers are seeing with using groups in Outlook. And finally, we'll cover a little bit about roadmap in terms of where we're going, as well as what we shipped recently. All right. Microsoft 365, at the core of that is teamwork. And the reason is pretty obvious. Teamwork is how things get done. And I'm pretty sure you're noticing these things in your organization as well. There are twice as many teams today as compared to a few years back. People are spending a lot more time, in fact, 50% more time than what they used to. And the most interesting part is that research shows that the organizations and teams who invest in the right tool set are 5 times more likely to be higher performing than those that don't. It's not just the numbers. Even the way we do work has shifted. It is now the norm for people to work across the firewall on a regular basis. Teams are increasingly geographically distributed. In fact, me personally, I work across people in 5 different time zones almost on a daily basis. And last, but also very important, is that for the first time, we are noticing over 5 generations of people working alongside each other. The expectations and exposures each of these people had while growing up is extremely different, but still they need to find common ground when they have to work together and be productive. We built Microsoft 365 to meet the unique needs of every group. For each of these categories of teamwork, we have a purpose-built application. Outlook, if you want to collaborate with people and groups in a familiar place. Yammer, if you want to connect across your company, have a topic of discussion, and have a channel that you can have an open dialogue around. Yammer is a great tool for that. And Teams, if you have a tightly knit group of people who need high-velocity collaboration, share content, and connect with each other, Teams is a great tool for that. And finally, SharePoint and Office apps, where people create content and share content across these different productivity hubs. What's unique about Microsoft 365 Toolkit for Teamwork is that all of these tools are connected on the same intelligent fabric consisting of Office 365 groups, which provides a single identity and a shared membership across all Office apps that you see on top. A service that roams your people and content across these apps with Microsoft Graph, and the security and compliance capabilities you've come to rely on us from Office 365. So now let's talk a little bit about teamwork in Outlook. We started this journey when we released groups in Outlook on the web 3 years back. And since then, not only have we brought the same experiences across other Outlook endpoints, we have also innovated on the functionality inside Outlook across endpoints. Today, from small businesses to large global enterprises, millions of people are using groups in Outlook for teamwork. And we're going to talk about some of the benefits that they say they are getting from using groups in Outlook, as well as the real-world use cases that we see them using groups for. The number one benefit that we see our customers from using groups in Outlook is the ubiquity and familiarity with email. In fact, it's estimated that over 3.7 billion people use email today on a regular basis, and that's half the world's population. What better way than to meet people where they are if you have to connect and collaborate and share with people not just inside your organization, but also external to your organization. The key benefit, no learning curve. Instead, use the time to get real work done. To enable seamless connectivity and collaboration across org boundaries and your firewall, we released a functionality called Guest Access 1 year back. And since then, Guest Access has risen to become one of our top used features for groups in Outlook. In fact, we see a new guest getting added to a group in Outlook every few seconds. So before I completed that sentence, there was a new guest added in our service right now. One of the real-world use cases that we saw is with one of our customers who is a fast food chain company. And they had a need to seamlessly connect and share content in a secure manner from their corporate with all their franchisees. And their franchisees were not part of their own tenant. They were all outside. So they needed a secure manner where they can connect with these people and share updates, roll out new processes, have inspection checklists and share those with the people, as well as any documents that they needed to work on together with the people working on these franchisees. With guests in Outlook, they're now able to do that effortlessly as well as securely. The second benefit that we see in email is that we all know that email scales really well. Whether you're a small business with only a handful of people, or a large global organization with hundreds of thousands of people, it takes the same effort to send a mail to one person or to a group that contains thousands of people. While we see in our service that there are many groups with thousands of people in them, used for broad organizational sharing and announcements or discuss a topic of interest, we see that the sweet spot for groups in Outlook is for small teams. In fact, over 75% of all groups in Outlook contains less than 10 members. And one of the real-world use cases that we see often from our customers is for the small organizational teams inside your company. In fact, I have, among other things, one of my groups for the same exact reason. I lead a team of 4 people, and I use groups in Outlook to share updates that I get from my leadership team, from my partners and other people. We work on planning and strategy of the product that we build, as well as we create content for all the functional specifications to bring you these experiences inside Outlook. In addition to that, we also use the shared calendar in my team to track milestones and out-of-office appointments for people on my team, as well as to plan events around it. One of the key benefits was that when a new person joined my team 6 months back, all I had to do was to add her to my group. With the history saved and anybody who's a member can access all these histories, she was able to quickly catch up and ramp up on all the decisions that we had made and the context behind all these decisions, in addition to catching up on all the documents and the work that we were doing. So she was able to contribute from day one. Moving on to the third benefit that we see with our customers. The flexibility in existing workflows around email has allowed us to form some deeply rooted habits inside Outlook. In fact, a lot of the verticals that we talk to, finance, legal, and others like healthcare, and many more, have deeply integrated business processes out of email. So we see a lot of the identities that are based on email, like support, contact, info, and groups is now powering many of those identities for our customers. One of the large healthcare companies based out of Florida, who does outsourced physician cares, is using groups in Outlook this way. They have a group to help their outsourced partners and receive any requests from them so that they can respond in a timely manner. At the same time, keep all the information in one place for the internal team members to share any best practices and training documents, as well as FAQs, to be able to respond to them in a timely manner. And when one of the occasions where questions come up about billing discrepancies or other scenarios, they are quickly able to forward those requests to the right groups, and which is also a group in Outlook, so that they can be responded to in a timely manner. So with that, I want to show you guys how these things look like inside the product. Madhuri?
Awesome. So before I get started, how many of you guys have heard of groups in Outlook before this session? Okay, nice. How many of you guys use groups in Outlook? Okay, a few of you guys. So hopefully I'll be able to show you some of the really beneficial scenarios with groups in Outlook. And so let's get started. I'm starting from my desktop client. This is my Outlook 16 desktop client from my inbox, because we do know productivity most of the time does begin here. And as you'll see, I have an email from Christy welcoming Alan to our team. So this is the email, and she mentions that he'll be working on the product launch of Project Ice Cream along with me, Lynn, Lee, and Lydia. And she's asking that if I could add Alan to all the right groups. Now, whenever a new person joins a team, like Chris just mentioned, it's really hard for them to be productive straight away. They don't have access to the right resources, they might not have access to the right people that they should work with, and they might not even have the prior context of the project. And so having the ability to quickly jump in can be very beneficial. So in this case, I'm going to add Alan to the group. And what I'm going to do is head over to this marketing. And when I do that, we invoke what is called our group card. Our group card contains information about the group, such as the group description, a way to navigate to the different resources in the group, as well as the members in the group. Now, when I click on members, I get a list of all those who are owners, as well as those who are just members. In this case, like Krish mentioned, having the ability to communicate with those not just internal to your company, but those external can be very powerful. And having a safe and secure way to do it is useful. So as you'll notice here, there is a Gmail address. This indicates that this person is someone outside of my organization, and there's an icon to show that. I'm going to head back and add Alan to this group. All I have to do is click on this edit or more options, and I choose add members. When I do that, I get this dialog, and all I have to do is add Alan, and he'll immediately get added to the group. Or, sorry, it looks like he might already be added here. So I'm going to add Lee, and he'll be added to the group. Just took a few seconds, and now he has access to all of the group content. Let's head over to the group space. There's a few ways to do that. You can do that from the group card where I just was, or you can do it from the left nav. From the left nav, I have added marketing to my favorites because I frequently visit this group. I'm going to head over to that group. What you'll notice immediately is that it's very similar to your inbox, in that you have your left nav, you have your conversation list in the center, and then you have your reading pane on the right. Now, Alan or Lee can have access to all of these conversations without having to ask somebody to email over things to them. Not just the conversations, but they also have access to the calendar, which is right here, the files in the group, the team OneNote, and additional resources. I'm going to go to this calendar space. Our team usually uses the calendar for things such as milestones that we're tracking, any morale events that are happening, recurring team meetings, and things like that. One thing you'll notice is that on Friday there's a milestone, one for Project Ice Cream, and I'm going to add that to my personal calendar. So adding your personal calendar is very simple. All you have to do is right-click and choose Add to My Calendar. And now this gets added to my personal calendar as well. So I'm going to overlay my calendar so you guys can quickly see that. And what you'll notice is that on Friday at 8 a.m., I have that on mine as well. I'm going to go back to this group. One other way that we use our group calendar is for out-of-office notifications. Usually, people send out meeting requests for this, but what we've heard is that it usually clutters their inbox, and there's no need for other people to accept or deny your vacation. So they need to be aware of it, but they don't necessarily need to take action of it. So here, I'm going to take vacation next week and on Tuesday, so I'm going to add my vacation here. All I have to do is click New Appointment. So this is very similar to how you do it in Inbox. You just click on this New Appointment here, and I choose Lynn on vacation. And then I can type the location I want to go to, and then choose the date. It's going to be an all-day event. And that's it. It gets added to the group calendar. So you see on Tuesday, Lynn on vacation. And now if the group members want to add it to their own calendar, they can do that like I showed before. Right-click, Add to My Calendar. Christy did mention that I'm going to create a group, work with Alan, Lynn, Lee, and Lydia on Project Ice Cream. So I'm going to quickly create a group for that. So creating a group can be done in multiple ways, one of which is from the left nav, from the group's header. All I have to do is right-click, New Group, and fill out a few fields. So here, I'm going to add a group name, Project Ice Cream. I'm going to add, if I want, I can add a description. I can set a classification. Classification is an option that's pre-configured by the IT admins to enforce some of the data policies. So I'm going to leave it as the default medium. And then I can choose my privacy. There are two things I can choose from, a public group or a private group. A public group means that anyone in my organization can see what's inside this group. This is great because I can easily share my knowledge to the other people in the organization, and they can reuse some of the resources or some of the content, don't have to necessarily reinvent the whole wheel. So a private group means that only those who are joined to this group can get access to the content in there. I'm going to choose a private group for now, and then the other option that I have is to decide how the members of this group get the content. Will they get everything in their inbox, or will they have to come to the group space to get this content? The member can later change this to whatever best suits them. So here, I'm going to set it so that everybody gets it in their inbox and create. That's it. Something that used to take us potentially a few days, where you would have to reach out to your IT admin, the admin would then create the group, you would get an email back, and then you would add the members, will now take us a few seconds. Now that the group is created, I'm going to add my colleagues here. I'm going to add Alan to this group. I'm going to add Lydia, and I'm going to add Lee to this group. When I select Add, now these members are getting added, and I'm taken to the group space. This group space is where all the content will live moving forward, and I can engage with it however I would like. We know that our enterprise users, sometimes when they go home for work, they might not necessarily have access to the desktop client, and they use the web client. So I'm going to show you some of the demos from there as well. So I'm going to head over to this web client here, and I'm in the group space marketing. Again, you'll notice that it's very similar to your desktop client. You have the same list of groups on the left. You have your conversation list, and on the right, you have your reading pane. Now I mentioned something about engaging with it on your own terms. So I'm a member of this marketing group, and it's really easy for me to decide if I want to change the initial following level to get everything in my inbox or not. So in the header, there's an option to change that. Right now, it's set to not following, so I'll have to come to the group space to see this content. But if I choose for everything to be in following, then I can see everything in my own inbox. Not just that, based on some customer feedback, we added a little bit more granular controls, so you can decide the type of events that you see. So here, when I go to group settings, I click on Manage Group Email, and I can decide if only I get replies in my inbox, or if I get just events from the group in my inbox, or I don't receive any of the group messages. And that's it. You can choose how to engage with it how you'd like. Now, if you want to send a conversation or a file to this group, there are multiple ways to do it. You can do it directly from the group space, or you can do it from your own inbox, similar to how you would compose any other message. I want to show you guys some really exciting things we've been working on to really help with easy addressing. And one of those things we found is usually people in Outlook or any email, they tend to talk to the same set of people over and over again. So having a really easy way to get that would be very useful. In my case, I work with Alan frequently. And you'll notice that when I type Alan, I get this intelligent suggestion to add Alan, Emily, Isaiah, Lee, and Megan. That's because every time I work with Alan, I also send an email to these people. I sent an email to this set of people, and I share files and different things with them. This intelligent suggestion is based on my previous communications and my usage of Outlook. So now when I take up this suggestion, all 5 of the people get added. Instead of me having to type out all 5 of the names, I just have to type out 1. And it makes sure that I don't miss out on anyone by accident. And so now I can send an email to them, and I'll add a subject. And I can just send it, and it gets sent to them. So far, I've been showing you guys some of the demos from what already exists in our product. There are a few things that we're still working on, and we're really excited to show you guys. So I'm going to go over to my demo tenant and share from there. So here, I'm signed in as Kiran. And what you'll notice is that in this inbox, I'm able to see the conversations in my inbox. And one of the feedback that we got is I tend to have conversations before I create a group. So people tend to have these frothy conversations, that's what we call them, before they actually create a group. And any content that's shared before that, they might not have access to it once they create a group. So how do I move or copy my conversations from my inbox over to the group space? We have a really easy way to do that, and that's through drag and drop. This has been a highly requested feature for us, and we're really excited to finally be able to share it. All I have to do, I select on the content or the conversation that I want to move over, and I just drag and I drop it into that group that I want. So the first, let's see if this gets moved over. Sorry, I'm using a demo tenant, so it might take an additional try. Yep, there it goes. You saw that in the project ice cream, I have meeting notes by Kiran. It was easy as that. I can move my existing content that's in my inbox and easily be able to share it with everyone in the group. Now, anybody new that joins that might not have that prior context is easily able to see that. Okay, when we initially shipped groups, we figured that groups is going to be used as a quick catch-up scenario, but we've heard a lot of feedback that groups is not just a catch-up scenario and that they're using it for their productivity. And so initially when we shipped, we had this idea of seen, unseen. What that means is when you go to a group and you navigate away, the count next to that group goes away, indicating that you've seen the conversations in the group. But now we've heard loud and clear from you guys that that's not working, and you want a better way to triage, similar to how you do it in your inbox. We've changed our model to accommodate that, and now it's a read-unread model, just like how it works in inbox. So let's go over to Project Ignite, and you'll notice that there are 4 conversations there. And here are the 4 conversations. And now if I move away, let's go back to my inbox, you'll notice that the count doesn't change. I might have seen the group, but I still haven't interacted with any of the conversations, so the count is there. Now I'm going to go back to Project Ignite, and I'm going to select one of the conversations. Now you'll notice that the count here is changing to 3. So I can now also mark things as red if I later want to come back to it. or mark things as unread if I later want to come back to it, or mark things as read from here. With that, I'm going to hand it back to Krish to talk a little bit more about the benefits.
Thanks, Madhuri. Exciting? All right. Let's go through the rest of the benefits that we see from our customers. The number 4 benefit that we see is that Outlook for most of us is the hub for productivity. In fact, more than 60% of file collaboration happens inside Outlook. What's very important, though, is that when people are outside Outlook in Office apps and want to share content, everybody in their team has the right amount of access and are able to co-edit and create content together. With Office 365 Groups providing the membership service, which powers groups in Outlook, we are now able to enable users to cut across these various Office apps that they may be using on a daily basis, and rest assured, everyone that they share that content with has the right amount of access to be able to work on it together. Whether you're a student working on a class project with others, or you're an information worker working on a sales proposal with your team, it's the same experience that you get regardless of where you go across the Office ecosystem. And last but not the least is that we all have our choices when it comes to the platform we like to work on. In fact, one of the biggest challenges that we heard from our customers last year was that not being able to tell the same consistent story for their users, whether they're using a MacBook or a Windows machine or anything else, was becoming a very big barrier for adoption. We know over 2/3 of people use one or more personal devices for work, as well as there are lots of companies who provide a choice for their users whether they want to use a Windows machine or a MacBook. Now, with groups in Outlook, we have a same coherent story across Outlook in any platform your users might want to use. Last April, we released our first experiences for Outlook for Mac, iOS, and Android. And since then, we have been adding functionality on these platforms on a monthly basis. So you now have a consistent story to tell when you go talk to your users about how to use groups in Outlook and the benefits that they'll get from using them. Let's take a quick peek into how these things look like.
Okay, so one of the really great things about groups in Outlook is that you're able to really find things quickly. So whether people are sharing files or conversations, really easy to re-find it and get to where you need to be really fast. So in my case, I know that for our team, we're working on an advertisement, and we're using this video production group to keep track of everything. Here, there are a lot of conversations, and I know that one of our colleagues sent out a checklist to prep for it, so it's going to be a little hard to find it in this group. What I'm going to do is head over to the file space, and once I click on files, you get a collection of all the files that have been shared to the group. This includes attachments to any of the emails, things uploaded from SharePoint, as well as things uploaded directly from here. So I'm going to click on this checklist, and what you'll notice is that I'll get this great side-by-side view. This view, it also exists in Outlook, not just in groups in Outlook. And here, it's really awesome because the task I need to get done, I can do without having to switch between different views. I have my file, and I also have my conversations. Now, in this file, I see that there's a script assigned to me, which I still haven't finished yet. So I'm going to head over to the Word document. We know that collaboration, it sometimes begins in Outlook, but there are a lot of times where it begins in other Office apps, such as Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. And so having the ability to really be productive and share with other people from these apps is very beneficial. So in my case, I'm going to share this to our marketing campaign group for a review. So I think I'm done. All I have to do is click on Share. You no longer have to go back to Outlook to be able to share to a person or group. It's really simple. I click on that one button, Share, And now here, I just type in the name of the group or the person I want to share it with. So I'm going to share it with the marketing campaign group, and it gives me a suggestion. And you can also edit the permissions from here as well. And that's it. I can send it over. Now, I've showed you guys how you can do this from your desktop and from the web, but we know that many of our users not just use these platforms, but they also use the Mac platform. So I'm going to go over to my Mac and share some demos from there. Okay, so I'm back in my inbox in my Mac, and what you'll notice is that I have the same email that I had from Christy earlier, welcoming Alan to the team. And on the top right, whenever you get a message from a group, on the top right, you get an indication that it's been sent to a group. This is really great because from here, I can again invoke the group card and go directly to any of the other resources that I want. I can go to any of the conversations files or that I want. From the left nav, you can go to the group space. So I'm going to go from my favorites because I've added it to my favorites. And again, the same group conversation space and the reading pane. We've also added the functionality to create a group from Mac as well. So you just click on the group, the same interaction, new group, and there you go. You can start from there. We know that people are incredibly mobile these days, so having these capabilities from your mobile device would also be very beneficial and help you stay productive. So I'm going to share some demos from my mobile client now. Okay, so here's my mobile client, and this is my inbox again. And I'm going to open the same email from Christy. What you'll notice again is that icon of the group, which is on the top right. And now once I tap on the icon, you get the same familiar group card. Here, you can change how you engage with the group by changing your following. You can also see the members. And with mobile, what you'll also be able to see are the conversations. You can see the most recent conversations in this group, so it's really easy for you to catch up without having to go to the group space. So here I see a few conversations, and I'm also able to see my file. So there's a file on research on ice cream, which was uploaded earlier, and now it's really easy for me to see the file, go through the whole list right from here. Again, if you go from the sidebar, there's that same group space from the sidebar. So you tap on the top left from the sidebar, and you see groups option there. Once I select the groups option, I get the list of all the groups that I'm joined to. We've also added the functionality to create a group from your mobile device as well. And so all I do is tap on the plus button from the top on the top right. And once I do that, I get a really simplified way to create a group from your mobile device.
Thanks, Madhuri. To summarize, Groups in Outlook provides people in your organization to collaborate with their team in a familiar place while providing the right amount of controls to stay on top of these groups, and as well as the versatility that Outlook brings, helps you extend Groups in Outlook to a number of use case scenarios that we've shown you so far. And the membership service which Office 365 groups provide give you a seamless integrated experience regardless of which Office app you may be in. And now you can use Groups in Outlook in any platform of your choice. Let's take a quick look at some of the key improvements and functionality we released in the past 12 months. I'm not going to talk about all of these, but I just want to touch upon a few ones that have been top of mind for a lot of our customers. As Madhuri showed, you can now have the granular notifications for you to engage with the groups on your terms. And one of the biggest customer asks that we got earlier was the ability to add appointments directly into the group calendar without having to send a meeting invitation to everybody in the group. You really don't want to necessarily spam everybody in your team that you are going to be in Hawaii while they are in the office working. And You also have the capability to use the same functionality across all Outlook endpoints in the platform of your choice. In addition to all these other improvements, we also have a ton that is coming in the pipe. We showed you the ability to drag and drop, as well as per user read and read in each of the groups that they are part of. We want to make sure these things not only work from the user mailboxes to the group mailboxes across servers, but also across forests. The complexity behind that is almost like performing open heart surgery into the Exchange store. So we want to make sure it's 100% reliable and extremely fast when we ship this out to your users. We showed you a little bit about create and editing groups in Outlook for Mac, iOS, and Android. We are going to be shipping those things very soon once we polish those up and make it ready for your users. And over the last 6 months, not a week goes by where I'm not on a call with a customer who's asking me about group files in Outlook and where did their folder structure go. I'm very happy to say that we are actively working on bringing you the full folder structure for group files inside your native Outlook experience. So not only you get to see a flat list of recent files for you to quickly get to the documents that your team might be working on, but if you have a specific document in mind which is inside a folder, which is inside another folder, you will be able to do that as well. And we have a number of other improvements based on customer feedback. The key message I want to tell you is that we are actively listening to our customers, and please reach out to us if you have a specific use case or functionality that is something that we can make better through building experiences for your users. Or you can also go to user voice anytime and add your requests in there. We are actively monitoring the user voice site to stay on top of any requests that we get from our customers. I have a few calls to action for you. Firstly, enable self-service for your users if you're not already enabled. And the number one reason is that a lot of these benefits truly come to life when your users get to decide organically and form these groups organically when these need arises, instead of asking other people and losing time and productivity loss in the process. Number two, but also extremely important, is to think about the implementation plan for how you can get to the most recent Outlook client versions for your users. Many of the enhancements that we showed today, the benefits of that is only going to accrue if your users are seeing the same versions of the clients that we are showing you as well. So if you're using Outlook client versions which are 2-3 years old, at the rate at which innovation is happening today, it's extremely hard for them to reap all the benefits that we showed you today. Number three, think about upgrading your eligible DLs. There are a lot of DLs across our service in our customer environments. And many times we often see that many of these DLs are better served when you upgrade DLs as a group, because now you not only have a distribution mechanism, you also have a collaboration mechanism where a lot of resources come together across the suite and people are able to accomplish a lot more things in a effortless manner. And finally, try out groups in Outlook and send us feedback. We are always listening to stories on how you use groups in Outlook and what we could do better to enable your users to achieve more. Here are some group sessions that are happening later today and tomorrow. So if you haven't attended some of these other deep dive sessions, I would recommend you to take a look and see if you are interested in attending any one of them. With that, we want to end the session as well as take any questions that you may have. Thank you for being such a great audience today, and let us please come talk to us if you have any questions on groups in Outlook.